Out of the three members of Team 7, Sasuke is definitely the one who came back in Naruto Shippuden the strongest. When we first see him again, after the time skip, he is Kage level. He is blitzing Team 7, casually taking care of Yamato, who is a Jonin, Sai, Naruto, and Sakura. So obviously, Orochimaru's training during the time skip was very useful for Sasuke. But the interesting thing is that training almost never happened because there was a big chance that if things had gone a little bit differently, Sasuke wouldn't even go to Orochimaru in the first place. First, there was a high chance that Naruto would just bring Sasuke back. I mean, Sasuke won the fights in the Valley of the End by a very slight margin. He almost lost it, but because he won the fight, he was able to go to Orochimaru. If Naruto had won the fight, which he almost did, then Sasuke would have been brought back. Also, Sasuke was very conflicted before he left the Leaf Village. He didn't know exactly what to do. He wanted to go and train with Orochimaru because he thought that was going to give him more power, but he also had deep bonds with his friends. After Naruto and Sasuke fight on the rooftop of the hospital, Kakashi gives Sasuke that pep talk, telling Sasuke that a pathway of revenge will take him nowhere, and honestly, Sasuke could have fallen for that. The main issue, and what prompted Sasuke to actually leave the village, was his encounter with Itachi in that hotel room, when Itachi absolutely destroys Sasuke and puts him under Tsukiyomi, showing that you're nothing to me, Sasuke. There's nothing you can do. You're never going to achieve your revenge. And to make things even worse, he told Sasuke and everybody essentially that he was after Naruto, which made Sasuke feel inferior to Naruto and weak. And so he thought he would never achieve his lifelong goal of killing his older brother. So this was one of the reasons that pushed Sasuke over the edge to go and train with Orochimaru. Another reason was that he saw Naruto summoning Gaobunta in the forest when he was fighting against Gaara, and he was absolutely impressed by that. And to Sasuke, there was no way in hell that Naruto should be able to catch up to him. That's absurd, but he eventually does, and he becomes stronger. And then his encounter with Itachi prompts him over the edge to go and find Orochimaru. But if all those events hadn't happened, Sasuke would more than likely stay in the Leaf Village during the time skip. Of course, if Sasuke remains in the Leaf Village, many things would change about the story. First, it's likely that Naruto wouldn't go away with Jiraiya either, because his main reason to go and travel with Jiraiya was to go become stronger so that he can eventually bring Sasuke back to the village. But if Sasuke is in the village, Naruto would probably want to stay with Sasuke and his friends and just stay in Team 7 just like they were before. So Sasuke staying back would have all sorts of ramifications. It's pretty much impossible to say for certain what would happen because of the sheer butterfly effect that Sasuke staying behind would cause in the Naruto series. But one thing that's interesting to look at, and we can actually measure this a little more accurately than the entire plot of the series, is how would Sasuke have developed if he stayed in the village instead of training with Orochimaru, because he was absolutely destroying everybody when he arrived in Naruto Shippuden. He was so powerful. So it's interesting to wonder how strong would Sasuke have been if he trained in the Leaf Village, and was Sasuke actually right about going after Orochimaru? Was he going to actually be more powerful if he had stayed back in the Leaf Village and Orochimaru just enticed him with power but deceived Sasuke? Because if Sasuke thought that staying behind in the Leaf Village would make him stronger, then he would absolutely stay in the Leaf Village. He wouldn't go for Orochimaru. He didn't really like Orochimaru at all, so much so that he kills Orochimaru and leaves him. Actually, he absorbs Orochimaru's body and all that stuff. Now, one thing Sasuke had in mind was that he thought the bonds he shared with the people in the Leaf Village actually made him weaker. For Sasuke, those who are alone in their shinobi path become stronger. This is what he tells Naruto in the Valley of the End the first time they fight there. You are strong, I admit, and it's because you've been alone your entire life, and that's what gave you this strength. For Sasuke, his bonds made him weak because he would try to protect those bonds and not act rationally. Just like he did in the fight against Haku when he pretty much sacrificed himself to save Naruto, even though his goal of killing Itachi was not even close to be fulfilled. But let's assume that Naruto beats Sasuke in the Valley of the End in Naruto Part 1, and then he gives his pep talk to Sasuke there instead of in the end of Naruto Shippuden. Sasuke understands that bonds can actually help you more than he gave them credit for, and he decides to stay back in the Leaf Village. Now, if this happens, obviously Kakashi will be Sasuke's primary teacher. It would also be Naruto's primary teacher, which I've already made a video about that, if Naruto had stayed back in the Leaf Village in Naruto Part 1, definitely go watch this video after this one and subscribe to this channel because a lot of people watch my videos and don't subscribe, so please help me out. But Kakashi would be the prime sensei for Sasuke. Maybe some other people from the Leaf Village could give him guidance here and there, just like Asuma, for example, gave Naruto a bit of instruction when he was trying to develop the Rasen Shuriken. But we would have to analyze what would Kakashi be able to teach Sasuke during this time and see if his methods would beat Orochimaru's methods during the time skip. A lot of people underestimate Kakashi's teaching abilities, but he's actually a very good teacher. First, we just have to take a look at what Kakashi taught Sasuke in Part 1, the Chidori, Sasuke's signature jutsu throughout the entire series. This is a very difficult technique to master. It's an A-rank jutsu, and Sasuke mastered it in about 2 weeks in between the Chunin exams, preliminary rounds, and the finals. And some people get that confused because people think it's the entire month that it takes Sasuke to learn the Chidori, but no. Sasuke is the one who seeks Kakashi out for further training during that break period in the Chunin exams, and he only does so midway through that month. So he actually had half the time Naruto had to learn stuff for the final round of the Chunin exams, and Sasuke masters the Chidori perfectly. He uses it to hurt Gaara 3 times, something that nobody had ever done before. Jonin level ninjas fought against Gaara when he was 6 years old. They couldn't touch the guy, but Sasuke does that 3 times on that day. So Kakashi's training was obviously very good. And yes, you can check that up to Sasuke being a genius as well, but I mean, Orochimaru also had a genius to train, so whatever. And that's the thing, Sasuke never really considered that Kakashi could have been a better teacher than Orochimaru, but he probably should have, because Kakashi was the perfect teacher for Sasuke. As Kakashi himself says, when Guy realizes that Kakashi taught Sasuke the Chidori, Kakashi tells Guy that, yeah, Sasuke is just like me. He has lightning style affinity, and he has the Sharingan. Therefore, I can teach a lot of stuff that I know. And teaching the Chidori to Sasuke is definitely not the most impressive thing Kakashi's ever done in terms of teaching, because that's gonna be teaching Naruto the Rasen Shuriken, and also how to use the Shadow Clone Jutsu properly. Now, Kakashi didn't actually teach Naruto the Rasen Shuriken because the jutsu didn't exist before. Naruto literally developed that jutsu. But Kakashi gave Naruto the method, and he taught Naruto to use the knowledge of other Shadow Clones, which is a very creative and intelligent technique. Train anything, really. So Kakashi is very smart. He can actually think about stuff that other people don't think, because, yeah, it makes sense for you to cut down training time using Shadow Clones, so it works wonders for Naruto. And because of Kakashi's training, Naruto learns arguably the strongest ninjutsu anybody had in the Leaf Village at that time. Now, when it comes to Sasuke, he wouldn't be able to do that type of training because he doesn't have as much chakra as Naruto does, and he's not as proficient with the Shadow Clone Jutsu or another cloning technique. But I am certain Kakashi would think about creative and effective ways for Sasuke to become stronger. After all, Sasuke wanted to kill Itachi, and even though Kakashi told Sasuke, you shouldn't go after revenge, yada yada yada, Kakashi would definitely support Sasuke in at least trying to go and eliminate Itachi in the future, because Itachi, in Kakashi's eyes, and to everybody essentially in that time, except for Danzo and the elders, was a menace to society. And one thing that we notice with Sasuke's training is that he develops several different forms of Chidori. Chidori Stream, Chidori Spear, Chidori Sanbon. He manages to mold his Chidori very well, and this is something that he learns on his own, because when Orochimaru first sees the Chidori Spear when Sasuke comes to fight him, he thinks, oh, I've never seen this before, meaning that Orochimaru was not the person who taught that to Sasuke. He learned it by himself. And if Sasuke had Kakashi, the guy who invented the prime Chidori, he could have come up with even more creative and powerful transformations for the jutsu. Kakashi himself comes up with a very interesting variant with the Chidori Hounds, or the Lightning Hounds, which is a variation of the Chidori, and Raiden, the lightning cable he uses against the Jinchuriki in the War Arc. So if they thought about other combinations together, I'm pretty sure they would come up with stuff even more powerful than that. Also, because Kakashi has a Sharingan, he could be a very good teacher for Sasuke when his Sharingan develops. He could teach Sasuke how to use Genjutsu, he could teach Sasuke how to read the opponent's movements better, and I'm pretty sure Kakashi would want to increase Sasuke's speed as much as possible, because that's one of Sasuke's strengths, and Kakashi would capitalize on that. Now, would Sasuke develop Kirin if Kakashi was training him? This is uncertain, because it is implied, never really outright stated, but implied, that Orochimaru was the one who taught Sasuke Kirin. First, because when when Sai, Orochimaru, and Kabuto arrive back into their hideout during the Tenchi Bridge arc, Sasuke tells Orochimaru that he's already mastered the jutsu Orochimaru showed, and then in the end of the arc, when Team 7 arrives and Sasuke motions that he's gonna Kirin, then Orochimaru arrives and stops him, which implies that that was the technique Orochimaru taught him before, but it's not a certainty by any means. But Orochimaru knew what Kirin was gonna be because he stopped Sasuke in his tracks so that he didn't kill Naruto and his friends right then and there. So he knew what Kirin was capable of and probably taught him at least a concept. Now when it comes to intelligence, I would say Kakashi and Orochimaru are pretty equivalent, especially in battle IQ, but Orochimaru does have way more experience than Kakashi, especially in that time of the story. So maybe Kakashi wouldn't come up with the idea of using storm clouds to shoot a massive dragon of lightning into your opponent without even using your chakra, but I mean, Sasuke and Kakashi put together, they're pretty smart. Maybe they could figure something out, maybe something like Kirin or another powerful ultimate jutsu. However, training under Kakashi will give Sasuke two major disadvantages. The first one being Sasuke would not use the curse mark. Kakashi would strictly forbid him to do so because it's a very bad jutsu that corrupts your body and eventually makes you go mad. And also he wouldn't want that power that Orochimaru gave to Sasuke to try and corrupt him again, and Sasuke could even die if he runs out of chakra, be paralyzed during fights. It's all bad stuff that can happen by Sasuke using the curse mark, especially if he didn't master it completely. But assuming that he took the pill Sakon gave to him, because in this what if scenario Sasuke actually went with the sound form but was brought back by Naruto, then he would have mastered the second stage of the curse mark, but Kakashi would tell him never to use it. So maybe Sasuke would obey Kakashi here and there and he would only use it as a last resort, because in Naruto Shippuden he doesn't use the curse mark all that much, but it's not a last resort thing. He uses it pretty early on in the fight against Orochimaru, he uses it sporadically in the fight against Deidara and Itachi, but it's not as though he only uses it when he has no other choice, kind of like what he did in the fight against Naruto in Naruto Part 1. And because Kakashi wouldn't allow Sasuke to use the curse mark, at least when he is around, when Sasuke is supervised, then Sasuke obviously wouldn't train with the curse mark and would have become as proficient with it. Now, is that a big deal? Kinda, because let's be real here, the curse mark is no longer that impactful in Naruto Shippuden for Sasuke. It does help him out here and there, but the amp no longer feels extremely impactful like it did back in Naruto Part 1. That's because amps in the Naruto series do not multiply the power of the user, they just add up to it. And because Sasuke was so much more powerful in Naruto Shippuden, even though the curse mark gave him a comparative boost in strength in Naruto Shippuden as in Naruto Part 1, he was way too powerful in Naruto Shippuden if compared to his Part 1 counterpart. And so it just feels like the curse mark is not that powerful because the gap between Sasuke in Part 1 and in Naruto Shippuden is so great. But the curse mark is helpful here and there. It does provide boosts of power and chakra when Sasuke needs them a little bit, and it allows Sasuke to fly in the fight against Deidara, which is actually pretty useful because Deidara can also fly. The second issue with Kakashi training him here is that Sasuke wouldn't have available those drugs that Orochimaru and Kabuto fed him throughout the time skip to increase his chakra supply, his strength, his speed, and everything else. We don't know how impactful those drugs were, but after Naruto encounters Sasuke in the Tenchi Bridge arc and returns and tells Kakashi what happened there, Kakashi deduces that Sasuke used drugs to increase his power unnaturally during the time skip because the gap between him and Naruto and Sakura was so great. But this is only an assumption by Kakashi. Maybe Sasuke didn't take any drugs at all and we just don't know. After all, we never see a lot of Sasuke's training with Orochimaru. We just see a couple of glimpses here and there already in Naruto Shippuden when Sasuke is pretty much completely developed already, but nothing during the time skip itself. So it's just, Kakashi making an assumption here, and it's probably a correct assumption. We just don't know how much more powerful Sasuke got because of the drugs. After all, Sasuke is a genius, and if you take a look at his brother Itachi, when he was 13 years old, he was already stomping Orochimaru, and Sasuke eventually becomes far more powerful than Itachi could ever be in his entire life when Sasuke awakens the Rinnegan. So Sasuke obviously had way more potential than Itachi. It's just that Itachi was a very early bloomer. But nevertheless, if Sasuke doesn't take those drugs that Kabuto and Orochimaru concocted for him, it's likely that he wouldn't be as physically powerful. His speed would probably be lower and his strength as well. His chakra reserves would probably be smaller too, but we just can't know by how much. However, to mitigate that, Sasuke would have another benefit of staying in the Leaf Village, which would be Naruto's sheer presence there. Because a rival actually pushes you to become stronger. Naruto and Sasuke would certainly be rivals still during the time skip. They would push each other forward, prompting them to become stronger and stronger, just like they did throughout part 1. And yeah, you can say Naruto's goal was to bring Sasuke back, and that's what he was training for during the time skip in the original series. But having that person right there, showing what the person can do, and knowing how much more powerful you have to become to catch up to them, is probably more effective than just the thoughts of the person and having to rescue them. And the same thing would apply to Sasuke here. If he saw Naruto as becoming more powerful, summoning Gamabunta and whatnot, it would probably prompt him to try and become even stronger. Now, you may say that Sasuke's thirst for revenge on Itachi when he was training under Orochimaru was a stronger motivator, which I wouldn't fault you for saying so. I'm just saying that Sasuke would have both motivators here. He would still try to go after Itachi and get justice for the Uchiha clan, but he would also have Naruto's rivalry motivating him. Kakashi could also teach Sasuke about the Mangekyo Sharingan. Even though Sasuke doesn't have a Mangekyo himself yet, Kakashi learns about the existence of his own Mangekyo Sharingan during the time skip and develops his Kamui there. So he could even teach Sasuke stuff about the Mangekyo Sharingan before Sasuke even gets it, and maybe give him the gist of what the jutsu feels like. Obviously, Sasuke wouldn't have the same jutsu as Kakashi, but I mean, it would be better than nothing, because Sasuke just kind of goes and uses his Mangekyo Sharingan without any instructions. And yeah, it does work against B, for example, and he does a lot against the 5 Kage in the 5 Kage Summit, but I have to imagine some guidance would have been good once he awakened it. He was pretty much alone. I never saw Obito telling him a lot of stuff about the Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi was actually the one who told him about the EMS ordeal, that you have to take your brother's eye to awaken a perfect Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, Kakashi wouldn't know that, because he just didn't have that knowledge, but I don't see any harm in Kakashi talking to Sasuke about just the Mangekyo itself. Kakashi could also teach Sasuke how to copy jutsus more effectively. After all, Kakashi was known as the man who copied 1,000 jutsus, and yeah, Sasuke did copy a couple of things in Naruto Part 1, mainly Rock Lee's taijutsu style, but Kakashi copied 1,000 jutsus. He could teach Sasuke how to do it better, and how to identify better jutsus to copy during fights. I see this hypothetical Sasuke that trained under Kakashi during the time skip pretty comparable to the Sasuke we got in the original trained under Orochimaru. They would have different strengths, but they would be very comparable in terms of just fighting capability. If I were to pick one that would be stronger, I would say that the original Sasuke would be stronger that trained under Orochimaru. Mostly because Kakashi feels like he failed Naruto when he learns about Sasuke being so powerful, so this kind of implies that Kakashi thinks he wouldn't have done a better job if he was in Orochimaru's position, and we have to take into account the curse mark and the drugs that Sasuke wouldn't have access to or wouldn't be allowed to use if he trained under Kakashi. But let me know, which version do you think is stronger, and how do you think Kakashi would even train Sasuke during the time skip? Subscribe if you haven't done so already. A lot of people watch my videos and don't subscribe. This is really frustrating, so please subscribe. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching.